It started with a phone call, just a normal Tuesday evening. I was sitting at the kitchen table, eating dinner alone because she was working late again. I didn't mind. It wasn't unusual. But when my phone buzzed on the table, the name that flashed across the screen wasn't mine. It wasn't her work colleague's either. It was a name I didn't recognize. She never let her phone out of sight, never left it unlocked. I told myself I was being paranoid, that it was probably nothing, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The message on her phone, as casual as it seemed, made my blood run cold. A simple, "I miss you, can't wait to see you tonight." The words didn't lie, but they weren't meant for me. I didn't need to read anymore. I didn't need to know the details. My chest tightened, a sinking feeling spread through me. I stared at the message, holding my breath as if my lungs could take enough air to push away the cold reality. I didn't confront her immediately. I waited until she came home. We ate dinner in silence, the tension thick between us. She kept glancing at her phone, like it had the answers I couldn't find. I wanted to ask. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Instead, I waited for the moment when her lies would be exposed, when her guilt would finally break her. After we finished, I stood up to clear the table. She was still sitting there, lost in thought, eyes glued to the phone. And that's when it hit me. The realization that I wasn't going to get an apology. I wasn't going to hear the truth. She wasn't going to give me the closure I needed. So I did what I had to do. I walked away. Not dramatically. Not with anger. I simply grabbed my keys, my jacket, and walked out without a word. For the first time in months, I felt the weight of my own decision. I wasn't going to let her drag me into a life built on lies. I wasn't going to play second fiddle to someone else's secret. The apartment I rented was small, nothing fancy, but it was mine. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Free from the lies, the hurt, the years spent pretending things were okay when they were falling apart. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing, but I knew I couldn't stay. Not in that house. Not with her. Days passed. I threw myself into work. I kept my distance from my friends, too. I didn't want their pity. I didn't want to hear "you deserve better," because it didn't change anything. What I deserved didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I was finally free of her deceit. But then she started calling. At first, I ignored it. I didn't want to hear her excuses. But when the calls turned into texts and the texts turned into desperate messages, I gave in. I couldn't completely shut her out. "We need to talk. Please just let me explain. I never meant to hurt you." I read every one of them. I couldn't stop myself. Part of me wanted to know if she was sorry. Part of me wanted to hear her regret, to hear the apology I hadn't received that night. But I didn't respond. Not at first. Then one evening, about 2 weeks later, I was sitting on the couch flipping through a magazine when I heard it. A knock on the door. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a wrong address. But then I heard her voice. "Please, open up. I need to talk to you." I didn't move at first. I thought I could pretend it wasn't her. That maybe if I stayed quiet, she'd go away. But she didn't. She knocked again, louder this time. Then I heard her say, "I've been waiting for you to come back." I opened the door, not to let her in, but to see what was left, to see if she had finally figured out what she lost. She stood there, looking smaller than I remembered. Her eyes were swollen, and her makeup was smudged. Her hands were trembling as she held herself together. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know how sorry I am. I never meant for it to happen. Please, just give me a chance to make it right." I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know if I wanted to. Part of me still cared about her. Part of me wanted to believe that maybe she could change. But that part of me was fading. The truth had already broken through. I couldn't unsee what I saw. She had lied. She had chosen someone else. And that was something I couldn't erase. She stepped forward, trying to close the distance between us. Her tears were real, but they didn't change what had happened. I could see the hurt in her eyes, but I could also see the selfishness. She didn't miss me. She missed the life I gave her. She missed the safety of knowing I'd always be there. She didn't love me enough to keep me. She just didn't want to lose me. I looked at her for a long time, trying to feel the love I once had for her. But all I felt was emptiness. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said finally, my voice steady but cold. You don't get to come back just because you're sorry now. You didn't fight for me then. She didn't argue. She didn't try to convince me otherwise. She just stood there, her shoulders slumping. I think it's too late, I whispered. And with that, I closed the door for good. You don't get closure from the person who hurt you. You get it from walking away and knowing that sometimes it's not about them realizing what they've lost. It's about you finally realizing you don't need them to be whole.